welcome back to the BizBlend podcast, listeners, where real, raw, authentic conversations spark fresh perspectives. Now, today's episode is really, really interesting, really super inspiring, listeners. We have Debra Erickson. She is the executive chef, entrepreneur, and founder of the Blind Kitchen. Now, Debra's mission: empowering people with vision loss to cook safely and confidently. And in this conversation, we will be diving into the real challenges and the ingenious solutions behind Debra's journey. So let's quickly get started. Debra, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really honored to have you with us.
Well, thank you, Sana. The honor's all mine. I appreciate it.
So, Deborah, your mission is to empower people with vision loss to cook safely and independently. So let's dive deep into your story. What were some of the earliest challenges you faced when navigating a professional kitchen? And I mean, how did you adapt?
Yes. In order to be able to measure confidently, know what the temperatures are
Hmm.
confidently, I had to do a lot of adaptations, and that's using tactile markings and things like that. But I would say the biggest obstacles were one, other people hesitating to include me as a team member, that they were afraid I'd get hurt or I'd hurt them. And so one was overcoming their fears, helping them to understand that I could be competent and I could be safe. The other big obstacle was time. I'm slower than most people. I can't just put something down and then retrieve it, glance at it. I've got to be thoughtful about it and take a few extra seconds and multiply that times 100 things putting down. It really ends up in being time. So those were my two biggest barriers were misconceptions of my abilities and also time constraints.
Wow. And as a professional, as a chef, I think time it is such a kind of, as we see, as we know, important component of this profession, because you have to be like, on your toes, putting out the dishes, prepping up everything, and, on time, served hot to the customers. I would really love to know, how did you adapt to it? I mean, uh, did you kind of practiced yourself to work during that particular time slot or time restriction, or you completely pivoted into something else? I mean, the
So
birth of the blind kitchen.
Yeah, so I always knew I wanted to teach. I didn't really want to work as a professional chef for many years or own my own restaurant or catering business. I
Mm.
always knew I wanted to teach, and I was not a good cook before culinary school. I could
Yeah.
get by, but I didn't I read packages and opened cans. I mean, that was the way I knew to cook. And so when I decided what I was gonna teach now that I'd lost my vision. I have taught at the college level in the past, and I love teaching adults that want to be there. The children, not so much. Um, so I knew I wanted to teach, and when I decided what I was gonna teach, I thought I'd like to teach cooking. I was in the teaching kitchen with my mentor and my instructor, and we were having an enjoyable time, and I was learning. I thought, "I could teach this." And then I thought, "Oh, I don't know how to teach that. I don't even know how to do it." So, I'm very skills based, and so I thought, well, where could I learn more about teaching cooking than cooking school? And that's how I ended up going there, and they were wonderful. The adaptations were many. My braille's really slow, but they brailled everything that I needed. And they used, articulated what they were doing quite well. So it just took a lot, and as I said, time, it's very much like the cooking shows where everybody's running around like crazy, but in a culinary kitchen, one of the nice things about it is there's a lot of very conscious communication. Yes, chef. No, chef. Door,
Yeah.
corner, hot
Yeah.
pan behind you. So that's part of the culture. But when it came time to the exams, everybody's running around like crazy. You have to get set up, you have to do your dishes, and I'm the only one using a cane. It was a kind of a danger. All those communication things went right out the window. People were panicked and pressured. I mean, I'm not complaining at all, but I never finished a practical exam on time because I figured it was better to get the seasoning right and make an attractive presentation. I'd lose more points if I didn't do those than if I'd lose less points if I just didn't finish on time, but finished well, so it worked out just fine.
Well, yeah. But in all of this, Deborah, one thing I would like to ask, and this I strongly believe is the key here, that sometimes we kind of overcomplicate our difficulties and blockers, and we keep on having judgments about our capabilities or skills. But from your journey, what I can see is, although kind of having a limitation there, you still pivoted. You still tried to identify that instead of being a chef right now, it's I'm good at teaching. Let me pivot into this particular career, and that requires a super strong mindset, super strong. Do you, I mean, what kind of mental shifts um, were essential for you to keep pushing forward, when external systems, they weren't designed for you?
Excellent question. And I'm extremely independent, so I don't like to ask for help. That was one of my biggest, I can do this. I can't ask anybody for help. So it's knowing yourself and knowing what turns you on. That's part of this whole thing is teaching is just a part of who I am. I can't not teach. It's just part of who I am. And so I found a subject that I was equally passionate about because cooking's not just about the taste, it's art, it's history, it's science, it's chemistry, it's all of that, and so my brain was just constantly being fed, and I really loved that part of it, and so, you know, if I were to wait for the world to bend itself, that everything was tactile, everything, had some type of way for me to know what it is, I'd be
Mhm.
sitting alone in my living room twiddling my thumbs. And I'd be very sad. It wouldn't be what I'd want to be. So everybody has something. Just sometimes people can see it and some people can't. Like if they see my white cane, people know I have a vision impairment of some type. Um,
Mm,
but the way I look at the world is that everybody's got something. Maybe they're in an abusive relationship.
mm,
Maybe they have stomach problems or back problems and they're in constant pain all the time. There are some things we don't know that other people might have. Mine just happens to be quite visible to people that can see, but it's no different. It's just a different challenge that other people have.
right. True. That is so, so true. And you know what, Deb? I mean, I was having another conversation. We were talking about disability in the workplace, how it is conceived and how it actually should be looked at. So I think having a limitation in there or one door closed, it kind of, gives you superpowers. I mean, uh, it kind of gives you, as you said, you mentioned that you are independent. It gives you that superpower. So I would love to know. I mean, what kind of superpowers you explode within you during this, entire journey of uh, pivoting and transitioning from culinary school, then to launching your own business.
Yeah, I have a friend who's blind, and she can read Braille like 350 words a minute, and she has a T-shirt that says "Braille is my superpower," and I think that really
Wow.
is a superpower because 'cause I'm very, very slow. Um, I would say if I had to choose a superpower, that word, I hesitate a bit with it, but it would be tenacity. That I just don't give up. I mean, some days I don't wanna get out of bed, some days it culinary school's hard and it's very physical and mental, and I just say, "Do one thing." That's what I do when I'm running my business. I've got 19 orders that my husband and I have to fill to ship out the culinary tools. I just say, "Just do one." And then you get into the rhythm. Then
Yes.
what is
Yes.
that? Motion. Once you get into motion, you can continue to stay in motion. But you for me, it's just having that mental conversation with myself and just say, "Just do one thing. You don't have to do any more." But then I know me. I just keep going.
I really admire the clarity you have, because um, not very much interesting, but in my own journey, I have had a huge, big moment, in at my level of pivoting. Um, it was really, really such a bold decision for me to get away from a stable paycheck, traditional corporate life to a bit of a dynamic and more of a learning phase here after 10 years of hustle. But this has really, really taught me so many things about myself. So I really admire your clarity, Deb. Really admire. And you are absolutely right. Some days I feel like, oh, I don't want to record any shows right now. I don't just want to do. But then I start with one, and then I don't know, somehow I get that rhythm. Okay, fine. Let's do it. I am in that flow right now.
It's exactly the same. We do different jobs, but we all have there's tasks that need to be done, and nobody's gonna do it if we don't.
Exactly.
That's motivating.
Oh, great, great, Deb. And talking about the blind kitchen, it focuses on empowering others with vision loss. So, what feedback or any heartwarming success stories have most deeply kind of affirmed that you are making an impact. Your work is making an impact.
Probably because I'm a woman and I am very close to other women. Um, Age-related vision loss is a thing, especially with all the baby boomers. So
Yeah.
I get emails and stories from women mostly. Certainly there are men too that like to do grilling and stuff like that, but because of age-related vision loss, they don't know how to get back into their kitchens and not get cut and not get burnt. But there are ways to do it. So I'll get emails saying, I have not cooked for 7 years. I loved cooking for my family. It was my love language for them, and I
Mm.
did it every Thanksgiving or every Hanukkah. That was people counted on me, and I haven't been able to do it for 7 years. But now I'm doing it again, and I just didn't know how I could do it safely. And those are the ones that hit me as a mother and a wife and a sister. They make me emotional. They really do.
Mm. Definitely, definitely. Wow. Wow. That struck a chord within me. Yes, that's a real difference made there, and that's real intersection of or blending of business with purpose and impact, actual impact. And
Yes, for sure.
Deb, if let's also look at this from a business perspective. I mean, entrepreneurship is not easy, and that too in the food industry, in the culinary industry, it becomes much more difficult. How do you balance the demands of entrepreneurship while also staying true to your mission of accessibility and empowerment?
Yes, I do a lot of speaking and teaching, and that helps keep me focused on what I'm doing. But the actual physical demands and the forms are those are very difficult to get over, but they have visual interpretation services that you can some are free, some you pay for, but if I'm having a problem, many computer, apps are not accessible. It'll say button, 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 and I have no idea what that button is. Is it checkout? Is it add to cart? Is it, go backwards? I just don't have if the programmers don't label them, then I it's inaccessible. So I can have people remote into my computer to help me. So part of being a successful entrepreneur has been learning how to access the resources to accomplish tasks that I am finding very difficult or too time consuming. It that's been a lot of it is I need to get this done. What's the best way to do it? Start problem solving. And that's what the blind kitchen is. I solved problems with cooking. And some of them were my solutions. Some of them were solutions I found other places on podcasts, on websites, in books. There YouTube. There's a lot of different ways that I learned this stuff and then organized it for the blind kitchen and found tools that were more accessible to us, that were safer for us to use. And I'm not using plastic knives. I'm using real knives with blades, and
Wow.
I can clean them safely. And there's a knife brush that it looks like a pair of false teeth. It's like a plastic tube or U shaped, and all the bristles are in the middle of it, are in the center facing each other. So the knife goes into it and you move it back and forth, and the brushes clean it. They're in touch with the blade. I am not. And that plastic U is in the between my thumb and my finger, so that knife can't come through it to cut my hand. So it's a efficient, safe way. That wasn't made for blind people, but it sure helps us keep safe and clean, and that's really important.
Wow. That is such a great, I should rather say creativity, improvisation in there. And I think learning as an entrepreneur, it is so important. Sometimes because generally entrepreneurs or successful business owners, they'll think, "Oh, I've achieved everything. I'm at that stage when I need not learn anything right now." But I think you set such a great example of learning on the go, and I think your model, it offers really vital important lessons for socially driven businesses. So that is really interesting to see. It's really interesting to see, Deb, to juggle growth with purpose.
Well, thank you. I enjoy what I do, and it's a privilege to be able to get paid for something that you love to do. That's hard to find in this world.
Oh, that's really hard. That's really hard. Oh, wow. Okay. And a bit of a different perspective here. So practically, I mean, I'm just saying this from could be our listeners' perspective that your business, Deb, while it is inspiring, empowering, it serves only a niche market, and therefore it kind of limits its scalability. What's your response to the idea that niche businesses, they can't achieve big impact? I'm very sure there's going to be a very interesting perspective.
Well,
That
it's a good question, and it is a problem. There's no doubt about it. There's only a limited number of blind people in the world, and the other problem is the unemployment rate in the US of legally blind people is hovers at 70%. So a lot of not everyone, I mean, there's a lot of at least 30% of legally blind people work and do good jobs, but there's a lot of people that are on limited income. So that's another thing I'm trying to figure out. But the thing is we have about 100 tools in the blind kitchen now, and only about 10% of them were made for the blind and visually impaired. Most of them are mainstream. And that's one of the reasons I appreciate you giving me a voice on this platform.
mm,
Maybe someone has arthritis or rheumatism and has a hard time,
mm,
cleaning their knives. That would work for them as well. 90% of my stuff are not just for blind people. Yeah, other people can use them too. So that's one of the reasons I'm trying to grow my company is to be exposed to different audiences. One podcast I'm going to be doing now is going to be on grilling. I have a grilling collection that has 10 tools that are very adaptive for grilling. So there's a lot of people that are older with vision loss that don't identify as legally blind and but they have a hard time seeing when they're outdoors grilling. I'm thinking these tools could be very helpful for other people that don't identify as blind or visually impaired, but people outdoors grilling when it's dark, that can be hard for some people that have some level of night vision loss.
yeah. Wow. Wow. Oh, that is really, really inspiring once again. And it's really, really such an intelligent and I think mindful take on this because you know at an Uber level, any investor or any other business person will simply say that, oh, it's a very niche market that you're catering to. So I don't see any kind of scalability in there. But if we go deep into this, I think because the problems are valid, the concerns are valid, there is a huge, white space that we call like white space to make an impact with. So I'm really, really bullish about this, Deb. And before we wrap up, if our listeners would like to explore more about the Blind Kitchen and also connect with you to learn from you, what's the best way to do that?
Okay, if you go to theblindkitchen.com, we have recipes that are written in a very vision-friendly way that they not only are the amounts of ingredients in the listing, but also in the instructions. So you don't have to keep navigating back and forth to find out how many eggs. It also has the adaptive tools. It's very screen reader friendly. Um, and it also has what I think is the heart of the Blind Kitchen. It's the Blind Kitchen Library, and it has tips on how do you identify things in closed containers. How do you label them? So the next time you go to touch these 2 cans of soup, and you'll know which is which. Organizing, cleaning, uh, dining out, that can be quite challenging.
Mhm.
Entertaining in your home. A lot of people don't think it's possible to do if you have vision loss, but we have
Mhm.
12 categories of things.
Yeah, this is brilliant, brilliant. Wow, I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes, Deb. And I couldn't thank you enough for giving me this opportunity because every conversation here I do, it's a learning one. So thank you so much for reminding me, and I'm very sure for our listeners as well that problem solving and resilience, they do redefine the boundaries of success, and that learning is irrespective of your age or whatever success you have achieved. It is timeless. So thank you so much, Deb, for this.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Great. And listeners, I encourage all of you to visit the Blind Kitchen to learn more. I'll have all the links in the show notes. Share this episode with your loved ones or anyone who you believe they will be touched by this. And stay tuned to BizBlend for more such bold conversations right here with your host, Sana. Thank you.